Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. This week, a new civil society anti-corruption organisation was launched. Terence Creamer attended the launch and joins me to discuss the significance of this new organisation. Terence, welcome to Second Take. Could you give us some background to Corruption Watch and what it plans to achieve?
Well, it comes out of COSATU and their efforts to try and deal with corruption in society, which has become a major scourge. And I think everyone agreed yesterday it really is the new enemy. There was a suggestion, like apartheid was the common enemy, we need to make corruption the common enemy of all citizens in South Africa. So it comes out of the trade union movement, but it's broadened beyond that, and it's included a lot of sort of eminent South Africans. In fact, it's board some of the most influential South Africans outside of government, and it has Cato Reagan, a former Constitutional Court Justice, and it has businessmen like Bobby Godsall, and David Lewis, who was the Competition Tribunal chairperson, is now going to be the executive director. So people that have had quite a lot of experience and know their way around the justice system and around business and around South African society, and also know how to lobby and influence society. And I think really the main platform is a website. It's sort of buying into the whole social media revolution, as we've seen in the rest of the world, how social media and being connected can actually be used for social change. We saw it very starkly last year in North Africa, and it's continuing in a number of other countries using social media platform. And this had to be defended because, in South Africa we don't have great broadband or great internet penetration, never mind broadband, as well as a lot of people that don't have computers. But the feeling was that, there are other ways to contact Corruption Watch other than through the website. You can contact them directly via email, there's an SMS line. But that they should embrace these technologies, these social media, as they have been embraced in other countries, other developing countries, to foster change. And really it's a platform to do some whistleblowing, so you can do it in a way that's in a safe environment where you can raise issues where if you find out if you've been involved in bribery or asked for a kickback, or even to the extent where you know of price fixing going on or collusion in business. This is a platform, a fairly safe platform to raise that, as well as a place where they're going to try and analyze where society is in terms of corrupt activities, the big news stories, the arms deals, etc. Sort of synthesize these into one place so that people can get their heads around these big corruption stories, because they come out and we sort of become numb to them because we forget what the details are. So it's going to be a sort of a central database of all these activities, as well as where individuals can share their stories about corruption and crime. So they're going to have a heroes and zeros page. So people that have, combated, and in fact the first hero is already up, where someone who was confronted by police bribery and fought back. And there's going to be also a number of other campaigns, the first of which is to sign a pledge, to try to get citizens to sign a pledge to say that I'm not going to participate in any corrupt activities. And yesterday at the launch we had a lot of eminent South Africans signing the pledge on a big board, showing their support for this combating of corruption. So the main platform is this website, but it's looking to really take the fight, not just have us numbed as citizens and feeling totally powerless, but to create a new platform to engage with this very important and worrying scourge in society.
There are already a number of organisations, official enforcement bodies and other oversight agencies. Why would COSATU and the others that back Corruption Watch want another one?
Well, I think it's because corruption has become so all-invasive, and there's a feeling that ordinary people don't really know how to necessarily engage with the public protector, although that body's become a much more forceful under Advocate Thuli Madonsela. And yes, there are a number of enforcement and oversight agencies like the public protector, and we've actually got good legislation and good frameworks in place right down to the presidential hotline, or right down to the sort of legislation that's passed through Parliament around corruption. And we've got the NPA and the Hawks, which is a contested terrain at the moment, but we've got all these frameworks in place, and yet corruption seems to be gaining traction and gaining momentum. So COSATU and others have felt we need a civil society organisation, so outside of government, outside of the quasi-government type institutions, to support those agencies like the asset forfeiture, like the public protector, and like the Hawks, and to give people a sort of a feeling, that they're in a safe environment to start blowing the whistle, to start fighting back against the scourge. And I think that, there is a bit of reticence to approach the police. There is a bit of reticence to sometimes even, it's too, big to approach the public protector. How do I go about this? And I think it's really to create the platform for this conversation in a way that people feel safe, that people feel empowered. So I think it is a positive development, and I think also it's going to put a spotlight, because of the data that's going to be coming through this website, on the hotspots of corruption. So they're going to map the hotspots. What are the key areas that people feel, the key corrupt practices that are happening? So if it's having to pay a bribe to jump the queue at Home Affairs, or to pay a bribe to stay out of jail for the weekend, those sort of things. And they also start taking specific campaigns, and the first two are likely to be around the JMPD. There's going to be a campaign around corruption in the JMPD, and then the healthcare system. Now, if it's the public protector, they have to do a formal investigation, whereas Corruption Watch is much more liberated to engage in a conversation, saying, look, JMPD, this is what people are saying about you. You are a corruption hotspot. What are you doing about it? Having a forum, both online and actual forums, to engage with these hotspots of corruption. So, and then the other element is that they want to bring business involved, because while business and corporate South Africa is at risk and under threat to corruption, in fact, many CEOs are raising it as a major threat to doing business in South Africa. Business is also a source of where this corruption happens. Doesn't happen just in the public sector. In fact, at most, there has to be this, it takes two to tango, and the tango and the entanglement is between the private business and a lot of government officials. So I think there's this view that we might need to get business on board. There's going to be an agony aunt column in this Business Times every week, where people that are, not sure whether this is corrupt, or have some questions around whether they can engage certain activity, can write into Corruption Watch. And Corruption Watch is engaging a number of leading lawyers and accountants, and they'll be able to respond and say, look, we advise you not to go that route, or that is fine, that is safe ground to tread. Because I think although people generally know what corruption is, there is some vagueness around what the laws say. So they're engaging with business in that way, and wanting business to put a link on their website, get whistleblowers from companies, and it is a risk for business, because you could be the one being blown the whistle on. So to have those links, and also to fund some of these campaigns, so that we can really intensify the momentum around the fight back.
We seem to be approaching a tipping point in the fight against corruption. Either we succumb to it, or we force it back into retreat. What is your assessment?
Well, I think that is why these sort of civil society actions, and it's not just the Corruption Watch, but we've seen like Lead SAs and other type initiatives that are starting to burgeon in South Africa, because we are approaching a tipping point. We are in a very dangerous place, where corruption can erode most of the gains of 1994 and beyond. And we can get into a point where you can't do anything, whether it's obtaining a license or obtaining a electricity connection, without bribing someone. And there is a fear that we're moving in that direction. And the other fear is that because corruption really strikes at the heart of government resources, and it actually diverts government resources that are really for holy and wholesome things, for healthcare, for schooling, and for housing and things like that, are being diverted into the pockets of the greedy. And COSATU made an interesting point again today, that this overlap between civil servants and their private business interest really has to come under the spotlight, because yes, we hear about the arms deal and it gets a lot of publicity, but where the billions and billions is being lost is really on supposedly good things for society, the roads, the school uniforms, the procurement of bread for feeding schemes. You know, that's where billions and billions are being lost, and we're seeing that in the Limpopo case at the moment, but it's not confined to Limpopo. We're seeing that it's those tenders around roads and buildings and schools and hospitals that is where it's estimated by Willie Hofmeyr that up to 30 billion rand a year is going into unauthorized places. So the arms deal might get a lot of column centimeters, but the actual real money is being lost in these areas, in what COSATU sees as this overlap, this intersection between civil servants and business. And we need to start putting the spotlight, as the media, as the judiciary, as crime prevention, on that level of corruption, which is happening. It doesn't have the tag arms deal, so it doesn't necessarily, it's seen as something good, but it's where there's a lot of scope for manipulation of tenders, and we've seen the tenderpreneur label, and that's quite a sad label, because tendering is actually a wholesome practice in society. You know, you don't want friends only to get government work, or people aligned to go. You want it in an open environment. You want people to have tenders. But the way tenders have been manipulated by these tenderpreneurs, it has sort of gone that route where it's not transparent, and it's not clear why people are winning things when they aren't able to deliver. So I think, yes, you're right. It's a tipping point. We ride on it, and we either force it back and put it into retreat firmly, or it's going to become a scourge that it's going to be in every part of society, and we're not going to be able to act without engaging with these corrupt forces. So I think that's why these sort of things are emerging now, and that's why I think a lot of people are going to support it. And another good thing about corruption, which is unlike the other independent civil society campaigns, it's not really antagonistic to government. It's really, Minister Jeff Kadebe was there at the launch saying we want to partner with government. Government's saying that corruption's a big problem. They're admitting it, they're acknowledging it. We want to be a partner with government, and we're not going to just be antagonistic with government all the time on these issues. And we're wanting to put a light not just on public sector corruption, but also on the private sector corruption in South African society. So I think it's a good development, and one that we should watch and support.
Terence, thank you very much. That is the Second Take show for this week. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time for more news analysis.